Schönen guten Morgen, meine Damen und Herren. Good morning, everyone. Selamat pagi. Thank you for coming to this morning's conference on investing in manufacturing in Indonesia. We have several distinguished speakers who I would like to invite to the stage this morning, beginning with Bapak Nurul Ikhwan, Deputy Minister for Investment Promotion for the Ministry of Investments and Investment Coordinating Body. Please come up, sir. I would now also like to invite Mr. Sani Iskandar, Chairman of the Indonesian Industrial Estate Association. And the last two are two of Indonesia's largest and longest corporations that have been investing and working in Indonesia. Mr. Roberto Rossi, Cluster President of Schneider Electric, and Ms. Febriani Eddy from Vale, Indonesia. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. One of the important things, one of the main questions that people have been asking is how easy it is to invest in Indonesia. As European countries are looking towards Asia as their destination of investments, one of their questions is looking to seek guidance and advice, not only from the government, but from other companies that have been operating in Indonesia. The questions there include what are the challenges, what are the pitfalls, how do they work in mitigating risk and navigating issues such as climate change, carbon emissions, sustainability, inclusivity in their operations. Now, I think the most important thing, let's hear from the government of Indonesia what Indonesia has to offer to companies who are already in Indonesia, and most importantly, which companies that are interested or seriously looking to invest in Indonesia. For that, please, Pak Nurul, your thoughts and ideas to the public.
Thank you, Pak Afan. So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I guess before showing you about what will be offered by the government of Indonesia or from Indonesia to you, I should share with you about why should you choose Indonesia, I guess. So that will be more objective to you, comparing of other countries that could be also a kind of investment opportunities, destinations for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just would like to share with you, this is the performance of Indonesia. So we could see there, based on the data information that we get, Indonesia is always on the top 20 investment destinations chosen by the investors. So this is showing that Indonesia is having this kind of opportunity. And for this, we could see that the development of investment, direct investment to Indonesia, we could see from 2018 to 2022, we could see that increased around 1.6 times from 2018 to 2022. That's for the direct investment realizations. And especially for the manufacturing, the development for this, the increase is much more bigger. It is 2.1 times from 2018 to 2022. And it is also showing about the top 5 sectors of this investment growing in Indonesia. They are metal and non-machinery industry, food industry, chemical, and also a paper and printing and vehicles and other transportations industry. And the thing that you need to know more as well, that we are a country with 4th largest populations in the world. This serve as well sufficient manpower for you. And in terms of workforce in Indonesia, in average, in Indonesia, even up to 2050, we call it as a kind of demographic bonus, then we are going to be supplied by manpower that in average, they are 30 years old. So it means that it is very strong. Unlike some countries around the globe that they are getting older and they are suffering of being tough to be supported by the manpower. And it is not only about the amount of manpower, but it is also supported by the educations and also the skill that we have. So it means that annually, we always have around 1.4 million newbies coming into this manpower market. So this is something that Indonesia could offer. So it means that the market itself showing not only about the supply of manpower, but it is also showing about how huge the market of Indonesia, the country that is economically growing and then also supported the demand power that always grows very well. And in ASEAN, as currently Indonesia is having a kind of chairmanship of ASEAN, so Indonesia is also the biggest country in ASEAN in terms of populations as well as economy. So it means that when we talk about populations, Indonesia is having 41% of the total populations of ASEAN. And in terms of GDP, we are having 36% of GDP of ASEAN countries. So it is something that you cannot miss, that in ASEAN, the real market is actually Indonesia. The real location that is supported by sufficient manpower and also economic growth is Indonesia as well. And ladies and gentlemen, showing about the future of Indonesia, this is the data that cannot be lying to everybody, and especially for the data of recession probabilities worldwide based on the Bloomberg analysis, we could see that Indonesia is on the top country that could be resistant from the recession's possibility in the future. The possibility for Indonesia is only 2% to be in the recessions. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the government would like to offer to you, this is something that we would like to offer to you, that we would like to have a kind of more downstream industry based on the richness of natural resources that we have. So it means that if you talk about EV and EV batteries, for example, you cannot avoid Indonesia, because by 2050, by 2025, there will be not less than 50% of nickel for the EV battery will be supplied by Indonesia. So that is only one example that we could offer to you. And another example that we could say to you, this is a kind of the diagram of manufacturing chain in Indonesia, and this one is based on our downstream of team. So it means that the green boxes there, they are the existing industries in Indonesia. While actually for the downstream and the tree of industries in Indonesia, we have very, very complex, and we would like to offer you to come into Indonesia. And the one in the green color, it is the priority that the government would like to offer to you. So then by having the combinations between the green and the blue, this will create very good sustainable ecosystem in Indonesia that will also provide a well competitiveness of Indonesia. And ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, we have also over you this kind of opportunities in Indonesia. So by having these information, you could choose. At least we have 44 projects in Indonesia that the feasibility study is already there. So you could just visit and go deeper understanding about these projects by visiting our regionalinvestment.bkpm.go.id. And another thing, we have also our booth over there, just exactly by the corner of the next blocks there. It is our booth that you could find our officers that could give your consultations between opportunities and also investment incentive that we have. And talking about incentive, ladies and gentlemen, we have this kind of competitiveness of incentive. We provide you tax holiday. We provide you also about import duty exemption. So it means that when you do investment in manufacturing, importations to Indonesia for your machineries and raw materials, that will be exempted for this kind of import duty. And we have also super tax reductions that will provide you with the deductions of your payable corporate income by having 200% from your cost of training and 300% from your cost of research and development. And I just would like to invite you to come to Indonesia and talking about the easiness of doing business in Indonesia. We have OSS, online single submissions. Then you can just come and find our office and come to our embassy. Then we are going to guide you how to do business in Indonesia. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Moran. I think what Pak Nurul here has emphasized is that Indonesia is one of the best places to invest at this moment in time. Not only, I would perhaps add on that, Pak Nurul, from the Ministries of Industry's perspective, whatever incentives other ASEAN countries offer you, we will match it and we will top up on it. Please also don't be hesitant whether when you come over to, or interested in investing in Indonesia, tell us what you want. Tell us what your prerequisites are. And I think that would help Pak Nurul here, the government also, to help make your lives easier, to make that transition process of investing in Indonesia quite easy. Now, in addition to that, I would like to introduce to you Mr. San Iskandar, Chairman of the Indonesian Industrial Estate Association. This association governs the various, I think there's almost 3 dozen industrial estates. And we're also now developing green industrial estates, as Mr. Iskandar will later present to you, which are places that for you to reside, build, establish your factories. And each of those has also their own special incentives. Now for that, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Pak Afan. It is an honor for us as a representative of the Industrial Estate Association to present such kind like the current progress of the development of the industrial estate in Indonesia, and also our government policy for the development of the industrial estate. So, yeah, currently, sorry, yeah, as as a member of the industrial estate, ini jalan-jalan sendiri. Yeah, as a member of the Industrial Estate Association, there are around more than 100 industrial estate in Indonesia. And if we can see that, yeah, mostly it is located in Java Island and in Sumatra. But now, due to the current government policy for the downstream industry, some of the industrial estate, it is also developed on some region. So the policy of the industrial estate development in Indonesia can be divided by two. So industrial estate located in Java Island and outside of the Java Island. And it is based on the manufacturing industry. So in Java Island, the manufacturing industry based on the high technology and digitalization. It is such kind like electronic, automotive, and also data center. And number two, it is manufacturing based on the. Ini jalan-jalan sendiri. Okay. Yeah, sorry. So it is in Java Island. It is also manufacturing industry. It is based on the labor-intensive industry, and also based on the downstream industry. So such kind like textile, furniture, chemical, and the others. But outside of the Java Island, mainly in Kalimantan, Sulawesi, and Maluku, so our manufacturing industry, it is based on the natural resources base. So such kind like now, the government policy already stopped to export some of the mining material like nickel, and then next it is bauxite. So all of these mineral, should be produced, and they need industrial estate area. So some industrial infrastructure and supporting facilities inside of the industrial estate, it is such kind like power plant. It is for the electric power supply, and then also it is for the gas supply, and also ICT connection, wastewater treatment plant, and also close to the toll road, close to the train lane, and also as well close to the airport and port. Next. Yeah, it is now we coming to Industry 4.0 in Indonesia. We call it is a Smart Eco Industrial Park. So based on the government Indonesia policy, so now we already come to the circular economy, to the such kind like a digital hub and innovation work and the others. Next. Yeah, it is a kind of the doing investment inside of the industrial estate. So there are some easiness to make any investment. It is such kind like business licensing through the one-stop services. When we know that all of the industrial manufacturing company, should be located inside of the industrial estate. And then the investor also can obtain the industrial lot size as required with the ownership, certainly in line with the regional government policy. And then, of course, it is availability of the infrastructure and utilities, and also simplify for related with the environmental permit. It is more simple because the such kind like environmental studies already made by the industrial estate developers. The building permit, it is also will be supported by the industrial estate developers, and also potential to get facilities, tax incentive, and also for the such kind like security priority location. We call in Indonesia, it is national vital object. Next, it is the last slide. Yeah, it is some of the industrial manufacturing company in Europe, from European. So it is some logos, it is from the Germany company, and the other on the list, it is also come from the other European companies. Okay, thank you, Pak Afan.
Thank you very much, Pak Sani. So I think basically in a nutshell is that Indonesia has prepared these industrial estates, which has met specific requirements both from investors from companies and manufacturing sites in infrastructure, and also they are also prepared to actually add on, if required by investors, to certain industrial estates, whether it's in Java or other major areas in Indonesia, especially if it's needed close to the upstream sector. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I think what's more important now is to hear from those longest companies that have been working in Indonesia. Now, one of the longest companies here is, first I would like to introduce Mr. Roberto Rossi, who is the cluster president for Indonesia and Timor-Leste of Schneider Electric. They have been in Indonesia for over 50 years, and I know he has a lot of things to share on the experience of working in Indonesia and actually working at one of the major industrial estates in the Batam area. So Roberto.
Hello to everyone, thank you for the invitation. So I am representing here Schneider as the country president of Indonesia and Timor-Leste. So I would like to introduce first the company. For the one that maybe you don't know, our purpose is to make the most of our energy and resources, bridging energy and sustainability for all. So our mission is to be the digital partner for sustainability and efficiency, and this is in everything we do. So moving forward, talking about the company, we are a technological partner. We are in the domain of energy management and industrial automation, mainly to business, but connecting them, we have all the software solution as well as the services. We are a 34 billion company, more than 128,000 people, and we think that our core business is around electrification for sustainability as well as digitization for efficiency. We work all across Indonesia with all kind of customer like hospital, buildings, mining companies, oil and gas. So we are supporting data center, we are supporting all of them, and we are very well represented in anyone. So as was stated, 50 years already in Indonesia, a long journey that I would like to talk about. So here is the map of Indonesia. We have our head office in Jakarta. We have factories, 3 factories in Batam, 1 factory in Cikarang, and almost 4,000 people working in Indonesia. Among them, I am the only one expatriate, right? Almost 99%, I am the only Bule there. Then in these 50 years, a lot of recognition, right? So we have been recognized as national and international lighthouse for the Indonesia government as well as the international committee. And we have received a lot of awards around education, a vocational school that I will address later. So this is the journey. I will not go through all of them, but the key milestone. We started our commercial operation in '73, where we were mainly a commercial office. And 5 years later, we realized the importance of Indonesia locally and regionally, and we opened our first factory in Surabaya. Later, we opened the second one. Later, we moved in the '95 the factory to Cikarang, while in 91 we opened Batam. So in this journey, we started in a small operation that was mainly local, that became bigger and bigger and bigger in commercial, in capabilities, helping our customers mainly. So the focus of Schneider in Indonesia is to help our customer to do whatever they are looking for, sustainability and efficiency, but we need a product, right? And we realized that Indonesia is the right place where we need to set up our factories. So the factory setup in the region is the most important one. We have our Cikarang factory, where we produce medium voltage and low voltage equipment, serving all the region. We send to Singapore, to Thailand, to Australia, also sometimes to Africa. Very good quality, very good processes, support. We have a network of partners and supported companies that help us to deliver this. So the second location is Batam, where we have 3 factories. One is to produce sensor, the second one is to produce speed variation drives, and we also produce signaling. I am proud to say that here in Germany, all the speed control variation that control all the motors in Germany are made in Indonesia. So we have an international plant serving the entire world, which is a proud for us, showing that it's not only Indonesia for Indonesia, but also Indonesia for the entire world. Then moving forward, so as I said, sustainability is in everything we do. Then our focus is first to deliver our compromise. I don't know why the slide keeps shifting like a crazy, so I try to moderate this, but it's impossible, right? So we are focused on the scope 1 and scope 2. We have a strong commitment. In Indonesia, we will be net zero by 2025 in our factories as well in our commercial operation. To do that, we have investment in renewables, investment in energy efficiency, which are the main 2 ways to decarbonize. But it's not only this, because we have a lot of suppliers there. We are working with our suppliers to secure that they will also decarbonize. At the end, the impact in our operation is more relevant from our suppliers than the CO2 emission that we are producing. That is why we are working in scope 1 and 2, as well as in scope 3 upstream, but also in downstream. We are working with our customers to help them to strategize how to reduce the carbon footprint, how to become carbon neutral and later net zero. First, helping them in energy efficiency. Second, helping them in the energy transition. But as I said, already 50 years, and we feel in Schneider that as a global company, we have a local commitment to deliver. We say that we are one of the most local of the global companies. That is why we take commitment for Indonesia. One is teacher mission. Our employees go to teach in a school and vocational school to secure that we translate what is needed in the company, in enterprise, to education. We give back to the community. We work with also another foundation to plant trees. And we have one of the largest programs in education worldwide of Schneider in Indonesia with the Center of Excellence. We work with vocational school around energy management, efficiency, as well as digital transformation and green generation. We already impacted more than 26,000 students all across Indonesia, helping them to be ready to be in the company that we will receive them later. And the last was a few weeks ago. We, in partnership with the governor, we inaugurated PD 4.0, where we have our booth for the Unified Common Center, where we are showing not only the journey into digitization, but the power of this digitization and how you can get information from it. That's all from my side. Thank you. The slide stop finally. Thank you.
Thank you, Roberto. Now, apologies, gentlemen. I did not really brag about, but I really have to brag about Miss Eddie here. She is actually, ladies and gentlemen, one of Indonesia's most powerful top 20 businesswomen in Asia. CEO of Vale Indonesia. She will be talking about sustainability and a woman leading a mining company and dealing with that. Miss Eddie.
Thank you, thank you. Wow, I better deliver the expectation. Okay, thank you. I'm a CEO of Vale Indonesia, and Vale Indonesia is a nickel mining and processing company. So we're not only mining, but we're also processing the minerals in the country. And I'll be a strong supporter and convictions for the Indonesian downstream policy to process the minerals within the countries. So why Indonesia? I think for us, for mining companies, very clear. We follow the resources. Indonesia is among the largest nickel resources in the world. I mean, in every forum today, in every session, people talk about the importance of energy transitions. But the reality is that will not be possible without the minerals. So we have to follow the minerals. And we have this, I'd like to share with you, Vale Indonesia has been in Indonesia for 55 years, more than 5 decades. So we started in 1968. And do a constructions and started commercial productions in 1978. So we have a long and proud history of operating in Indonesia. Here you can see that our single operations produce roughly 3% of the world nickel requirement. So it's fairly large operation. There will be some pictures showing how do we operate in Indonesia. And I think this is the core and the essence of why we can live and stay that long in Indonesia. Last one I want to highlight here is we have roughly 3,000 employees, and we're very proud to say 99.7% are Indonesian, and I am myself Indonesian. Vale has a commitment to develop Indonesian talent. I started my career 15 years ago, gradually up to the CEO. So there is an intention and deliberate program to develop Indonesian talent to be at the top level of the organization. And this is extremely important if your vision is to stay long in Indonesia, not just coming to Indonesia. In terms of shareholding, roughly Vale and Sumitomo, Vale Canada and Sumitomo own 60%. The remaining 40% are divestment to Indonesian participants. 20% held by minority who represent government of Indonesia inside us, and another 20% is listed in Indonesian stock exchange. This is a pictures of our long history. The picture shows when we started in 1978. It's a very humble and very simple operation, just one single line of operations. But over the 5 decades, we have continuously expanded our business. In our sectors, it's not just about the smelting, but also the power capacity. So as we add more lines, we also need to add power capacity. So we have now grown into 3 power hydro dams. So we're not only mining, as I mentioned, we are also processing the material since day one. After 55 years of Indonesia, there is not once we export the raw materials. 100% processed in the country to develop and create value in the countries. We also build and operate 3 hydro dams. So the first hydro dam was built in 1978, and then 1999 and 2011. These all together generate 365 megawatt power, and that makes us to be the lowest carbon intensity plant in Indonesia. And without that, we're not stopping. We are also committed to deliver our commitment according to Paris Agreement. So by 2030, we have to reduce Scope 1 and 2 by 33% and achieving net zero by 2050. This is a pictures of Matano Lake. Why is it important? Because all of the water effluent mine is treated in more than 100 sediment ponds before it finally discharged to the lake. So the lake water quality has been preserved for more than 50 years. That is a testament of our commitment to sustainability. This is a picture of our nursery. We do one mining company, but we build and operate a nursery as well. Our nursery has grown from 2.5 hectares to 15 hectares, and now it's no longer a nursery, but it's also a biodiversity park. And now we're going to upgrade it into a 75 hectares to include education facility for the new generations, so they understand the importance of preserving our environment. We also do reforestation beyond our concession. So not only inside the concession, but also outside the concession. Today, we have achieved 250% outside concessions of the area that we have opened for 50 years. This is the last picture that shows that we are a mining company, but we run school too. We have kindergartens up to academy, and we educate and make graduate for 2,600 students every year. And last one, we are not only staying in Indonesia for 50 years, we're also growing and expanded significantly. Today, we have 3 approved projects, 8.6 billion. The right side, the 2 projects, Bahadopi and Pomala, have received government recognition as strategic national interest. What does it mean? It means that these projects have a wide national impact, and therefore, you get a special support from government in your business challenges. Few examples here are accelerations in permitting and coordination with various government bodies, as well as national, regional, and agency level. And the second one is land acquisitions is typically quite complicated, but PSN allow us to get strong support from government. And last one I will say is the government also have a monitoring process to ensure that our process are running smoothly. So every month we sit down with KPPIP and they track. If there is problem, they will come in and help us to sort out our problem. So that's basically conclude my presentation. In Vale, we believe there is no future without mining, and there cannot be mining without caring about future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Eddy. We'll start now a round of discussions before we take any questions from the audience. Now, Ms. Eddy, Mr. Rossi, backstage we were talking about a quick discussion about talent, especially in the various industries. A couple of days ago, I was meeting with several German counterparts. They were actually also looking for talent from Indonesia to work in the European market. Now, as you had earlier mentioned, the first 2 questions are for you, Ms. Eddy, and you, Mr. Rossi, is how do you search for talent, and how good is Indonesian talent for a European company, for an international company? Because one of the most questions that come in is, can Indonesians work in technology companies, in complex companies, and how do you search for that talent, and do Indonesian talent meet your expectations on that?
I'll start. I'm an Indonesian talent, so I think, yeah, definitely. I think the company need to be proactive. It's not just waiting, right? So a few things. Mining has a very big challenge of attracting talent. As you all probably know and appreciate, the younger generation tends to avoid mining. That's why for us, it's very, very important, not just doing the sustainable mining, but also promoting it so that there is a better, wider view that mining doesn't have to be as bad as the world portrayed it to be. So that's the first thing. And second, I think I saw before the pictures that we have long commitments of developing Indonesian talent. Even we started from kindergartens up to academy. But now we are also massively working together with local university. Local university together develop the program that we need. So for instance, we sponsor the metallurgy divisions in one of the biggest Eastern Indonesia university. That is all a long-term program of developing Indonesian talent to be joining with us and to be our leader next, right? At the end of the day, I mean, I feel like it's not just about money, but it's also about who we are and what we do and attracting the talents to work with us.
Yes, in our case, I can tell you the secondary school, the vocational school, the university are very good. So we receive a lot of talented people. For sure, all the companies compete to get them in. Then it's pretty much the value proposition of the company to attract them. And then what you do with them, how you develop them, how you invest on them. And we have a lot of training, internal training, and feedback on the job to develop them. Then in some cases, in some locations, maybe the vocational school or the university is not at the level that we need, and then we help them. We send our team there to collaborate with them, to bring the technologies, to be teachers there, and then it's a positive community topic where we develop the community goes stronger, came into the company and to other companies. So I see over the time a positive cycle. I see Indonesia investing more and more in education, like the program that we have for 5 years, and we are expecting to extend another 5 years. So brick over brick, Indonesia has been building these capabilities, and I think it's very promising looking at the future.
Hey, thank you very much. So it's very easy for you guys to find really good Indonesian talent. I think as Pak Nurul said, I wouldn't say demographic bonus, but what I use is demographic benefits. So that is a benefit for these great Indonesian talents. Now, two questions to you, Pak Nurul and Pak Sani. We've been meeting with our European counterparts here, and they have their own ideas on what investments are for them and what incentives they need. How willing is the Indonesian government willing to undertake their requests, and how will associations like you yourself, Pak Sani, help in assisting our European counterparts in getting the incentives to be a deal maker instead of a deal breaker for companies coming in? Pak Nurul.
Yeah, thank you, Pak. So when we talk about incentive that could be provided by the government, actually we have some incentives that is already provided by us, started from tax holiday, for example. But when we talk about this tax holiday, the spirit of providing this tax holiday is actually supporting companies into the projects that is the IRR is not that interesting. For example, that the IRR is just below 10 or below 7, so it means that the government give this kind of facilities. But it should be also fair enough to be provided for the companies that only within, let's say, 3 or 4 years they could get this kind of profit back. So we just give this to support you. Having investment in Indonesia, the country is very huge with the market, but we provide also this kind of incentive. And it is not only about this kind of tax holiday. It is also provided for some companies having, let's say, investment that will absorb more manpower with also another incentive. And we have also other kind of incentive that could provide to you that we could sit together finally, we could give the optimum of this incentive that could be granted to your company. So it means that even for the tax holiday, we could provide much more longer of this period of tax holiday, as long as you could create a kind of ecosystems coming from upstream to the downstreams, and we could see that this kind of development will give a kind of opportunities for Indonesia competitiveness.
So we're basically very flexible there.
Yes.
Great,
yes,
excellent. Pak Sani, how can your organization help in meeting the demands of investors when they look for place to settle down in Indonesia?
Okay, so yeah, for tax and incentive, yeah, already explained by the Pak Nurul, but the some easiness of the investment in Indonesia, especially inside of the industrial estate. So all of the investor may not to get any location permit, yeah, because they already come to the industrial estate that already have the location permit. And also for the environmental study, because our industrial estate developer also already have, we call in Bahasa Indonesia, it is AMDAL. So for the all investor located inside of the industrial estate, no need to arrange much more complicated the environmental study. And also for the building permit, it is also can be supported by the industrial estate developer. So many support and easiness for the investor, especially from Europe, come to the Indonesia. And one thing that, yeah, now we learn much from the Germany school, especially for the vocational school. So to get any more talent and skill labor, now industrial estate developer, it is also become as like a mediator between the school, vocational school, and also our tenant. It is Pak Alvan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pak Sani. Now another questions for you, Pak Roberto, and this is a little bit difficult question to ask and difficult to answer, but we don't want to try and sugarcoat things for our other potential investors. What do you think are the most challenging thing or the pitfalls of investing in Indonesia, and how do international companies like you, who have been operating for over 50 years, mitigate or navigate through those pitfalls of working or operating in Indonesia? Pak Roberto.
So I do not see major roadblocks if you are a company who is coming to Indonesia to stay in Indonesia. So if you want to enter to Indonesia and to exit from Indonesia in 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, maybe I see more roadblocks. But if you really want to come to Indonesia, to contribute to Indonesia, to develop your company and to have a positive impact, I do not see major roadblocks. As stated by the governor, there are a lot of help to set down the company, and later there is a close collaboration with the governor, most of the cases, to solve the topic that are arising. We always have problems problems in importation, problems in exportations. In our case, we are proud to say that we export more than we import because of our international production hub. And by then, for sure, here and there could be problems to be solved, but it's always a positive relation to make it happen, thinking about the long-lasting relation, not something that, okay, maybe it's temporary, it's 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. This is not a problem for us at least. Sometimes it happens, but over the time it's fixed.
Yeah, and you feel you get the government support from that. Great.
Always.
No, I echo what Roberto said. I think it depends, right? If you have the mindset of coming and make money and then you go, that's probably not going to be easy. But Vale Indonesia, for instance, 55 years, from day one, we know we come here to partner. I think it's important to focus on the word partner. Partnership with government, but also partnership with the community where we operate, because the support from community is also extremely important. So you have to be genuine and intended to do what you're trying to do. So I guess like, typical problem that people hear from mining sectors is, how do you get the permit, the environmental license to study? I feel like, there is a general conception that it is a black box, it's difficult, but it's not like that. I mean, if you're working together with government, partnering with them, having a dialogue and be intentional and proactive, finding the solution, because nobody wants to stop you. Everyone wants to find a solution. So let's find a solution together. And now, for instance, we have BKPM, who is very active in promoting investment. And there's a lot of initiative now to ease doing business in Indonesia. I think first is go to BKPM, ask the support where to go and how to do business. And also, we also operate in industrial park. We feel a strong support from Minister of Industry and also Coordinating Minister. Working with Coordinating Minister, they also issued PSN, right? Which help us coordinate various different organizations, minister, and various level of government. That is one to be traditionally quite challenging, but now I think with PSN, we got a lot of support from government. So I think the key is partnering with the government, but don't forget the community where you operate, because their support will also then gain support from the government.
Thank you. Pak Nur, you wanted to add on?
Yes, perfect. So it means that partnering is the key of operations in Indonesia. So it means that Minister of Investment, BKPM, in this case, as putting ourselves as a kind of partner for you, but we just would like to do beyond that. So we would like to be a kind of comforting partner to you. So it means that whatever the problem or even issue that you are starting to face, so we are very happy to facilitate you. So we are doing not only about promoting investment opportunities in Indonesia or issuing the license to you, but at the time that you could get a kind of, let's say, problem or issue, then you just come to our office, because there is dedicated deputy just one level below minister, that we have also task force that will try the best to overcome your problem. And mostly the problem that you are facing in a regional area is the overlapping of license for your land acquisitions. So we've been helping many companies with this, and it is successfully in applications, in implementations of running of this investment implementation. So basically, we have the team that is supported by the police, supported by a general attorney, and also other parties. So we could simply just invite them to sit together and solve the problem.
Excellent. That's very good news. So I would like to invite questions from the audience. Any questions? Well, if not, I'll go back to you guys now. Are you planning, is Vale or Schneider planning to invest, add in their investments in Indonesia in the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years? And will it address the current global issues like carbon footprint, sustainability, and inclusivity? Do you see that as part of a decision-making process in your investment decisions?
Definitely. I mean, I was running out of time, so I didn't elaborate my last slide when I talk about the 3 greenfield projects we're building with $8.6 billion investment. All of these projects will be carried out within the same times, the next 2 to 3 years. We will do and carry out the 3 greenfield projects from 1 operations into 4. So what really happened is the decarbonizations of the planet requires so much essential mineral. So this is an unprecedented level of demand. and therefore required unprecedented level of growth. This is like once in a lifetime moment for us, a nickel mining company. So we must grow to cater for this need, otherwise there is no decarbonization of the world. However, as our materials are solutions for climate change, our materials are used to decarbonize the planet, we ourselves need to decarbonize our planet, right? So otherwise, what's the point? So if you look at Sorako, for instance, our operation, it's 100% renewable energy used for smelting activity. And therefore, our plant is the lowest carbon intensity in Indonesia. However, it's not enough. We realize that our drying and calcining and mining activity itself still emit a lot of carbon. We have responsibility to reduce our carbon. And therefore, we publicly, globally announced our carbon commitment to reduce further down Scope 1 and 2 following the Paris Agreement. So for instance, now we are in the middle of electrifying all of our vehicles. And then we are in the middle of upgrading our hydro facility so that the extra powers can be used to power our electric vehicle. That way, we eliminate our emission or minimize our emission at the mining site. And for the drying and calcining, I'll be totally honest with you, there is no proven solution now for renewable. So we must go and transition to natural gas first. I understand it is a fossil fuel, but it is a first step to transition. While working for the longer term solution, we must deliver net zero. That is no questions by 2050. But this is something that, climate change is not just scary, but it's also creating exciting opportunity for all of us in these sectors. But we must do it in a different way. We must do it in a way that is sustainable. Right? Thank you.
Does Vale do that by itself, or do you bring your other mining counterparts?
We are partnering with a lot of other companies. So this is, there's so much demand out there that we alone cannot fulfill. So my question is, why do we have to compete? There's so many demand out there. We don't have to commit. We need to collaborate. Otherwise, there will be not enough materials to decarbonize our planet. So we work together with companies that traditionally are our competitor. We see them as competitor, but today we see them as an ally. As long as the value proposition, the value and the way of doing business are aligned, there is no problem of working together. I think this is something that we all need to have in mind. Not everyone has to compete. Not everyone is enemy. They can be our ally and friend as well. So yes, we partner with a lot of companies.
Your views, Parag?
Yes, in our case, as I say, we decided some years ago that Indonesia will be our hub for some product to be produced. After this decision, the investment should be regular, right? We developed Industry 4.0. Now we are entering into metaverse. We are entering into universe automation. And more we are digitizing and reaching new levels of digitization, because we used to say digitization and then a new level appeared. So there is a continuous investment toward efficiency. In parallel, in our operation, we will be net zero by 2030 and carbon neutral by 2025. Then a lot of investment must be done in efficiency as well as in green generation. And in parallel, pretty much connected with sustainability, we consider that SF6 is one of the gases more complicated for our climate change. And medium voltage equipment normally is built with it. But we already launched SMR-Set, our line pure air, no gas, and we are launching the new line in Indonesia in 2023. So the investment to produce this for the region again will be done this year, and over the next 3 years, we will develop also SMR-Set solutions for different type of cubicles. So general investment in efficiency, general investment in green generation, new product line, and in parallel education. We are heavily investing, sending our people to the Center of Excellence of Schneider in Singapore, in France, and in different locations to bring them in, to have Indonesian people, but highly educated and very professional at the level of the challenge of the new technologies.
Thank you. One of the things that has been long in discussion during the past 2 years, during Indonesia's G20 presidency and ASEAN chairmanship, is besides sustainability, is inclusivity. Not only, on gender, but including from industrial perspective, how you include, especially when you want to bring 4.0 or mining companies, is the small and medium industries. I don't use the word enterprise, but industries, to help them scale up. Because one of Indonesia's aims is to bring these small, medium industries as a global value chain. Now, what does Schneider and Vale do to include and help in bringing Indonesia's small and medium industries leveling up, either as your vendors or your partners, or introducing them to a global network? How does that work for you guys?
So this is a big topic, and we work with this in two domains. One domain is we as a solution provider. We help companies like Vale and other big companies, but mainly through partners. All what we do is mainly through partners. We leverage on the country ecosystem, panel builders, system integrators, a small point of sales, and we work with them to teach them, to professionalize them, to bring to them the latest technologies and to support them. Then the way in which we are supporting the small and medium companies related to our domain is by the technological transference, the technical support, and the partnership. In the other domain, not as a solution supplier, but as industrial player, we have a lot of small and medium companies serving us to our production. In this case, we have a program to onboard them to reduce by 50% the CO2 emissions by 2025, and to try to reach for the top 1,000 net zero by 2030. By this, we are coaching them, and we are expecting from them to gain more and more attractiveness toward other industrial players in Indonesia that we hope in the future they will select them. So we are supporting this ecosystem also to be eligible for other Indonesian companies.
Yeah, I think I mentioned before about partnering with government, but also partnering with community. It's very important. I think this is where it comes to play. So our two fronts that we're doing. First is on the vendor side, we have a contractor development program. I'm not saying we're perfect, we're still refining it. But what we have is we do a pre-qualification. So small, medium, and large, because not everyone, every company requires different solution. So smaller scale, they are having a different problem than the medium and the large one. So we do a pre-qualifications, and then each classes will have different way of developing and treating them. So I think the company needs to have a mindset that I would like to genuinely partnering with the community, and that with the genuine intent comes the real effect and the real works, right? On the community side, we also have community development program, but I think in mining sectors particularly, because the product is non-renewable, so one day the resources will be gone. So the community development program's final aim is to create independent community post-mining closure. And that is not easy, and they cannot happen overnight. So it has to be a careful planning, working together with government to develop such community program. One of the most successful program we have is organic farming, organic rice. Believe it or not, everywhere I go, even in Germany today, I'm promoting our organic rice, not the mining product, because I truly believe, because we have seen the work and we have seen the success. So organic farming now is already reaching quite a big scale. And what we do is we use the supply the products for our own need, because we feed 3,000 employees every day, 3 shifts. So the rice will then buy by us to feed our people. This is not just good for community, but also good for business, because you reduce the cost and carbon for transportation. Ultimately, in the long run, it creates the dependency and interdependency that is healthy, and hopefully one day when we no longer exist there, the community can live with a very good and decent lifestyle. Thank you.
Thank you. One question, going back to the upscaling of SMI, small medium industries, is that you were talking about incentives for investors. Now, a question that has been also coming up in Jakarta, I mean, especially from international investors already operating in Indonesia, when they're already there, is BKPM considering, let's say, giving other incentives for long-serving companies like Vale or Schneider or many others that are helping in upscaling Indonesia's small, medium industries? So you're talking about 300% super tax deductible, but those are more for research and development. But how does the government acknowledge or show appreciation for these companies that are actually helping to upscale the Indonesian small medium industries? Are you preparing any incentives for them, like as Pak Rossi was mentioning, what they're doing?
Yes, we do have a kind of incentive. We call it investment incentive, and there are theory actually about kind of in this incentive, because we make a kind of qualifications of those who are qualified to be granted with this incentive. So among others is those who are working together with small and medium enterprises and upscaling them and giving a kind of capacity building to them. So then they could be a kind of part of ecosystem in the locations. Then they could create some new job opportunities for people there.
These are for existing investors.
Yes, yes.
Have you been taking advantage of those incentives?
Over the 10 years.
Great,
yes.
great. Okay. So you feel the government is already sufficient in giving these incentives?
Yes, it's different from industry
Yeah,
to industry,
of course.
and for sure it's purely allocated where the government is considering they want to do. But for us, it has been always very good.
Great. Now, from new members of the audience, do you have any other questions for our panelists? Please, sir. You state your name and which organization you represent.
Hello. Hi, thank you very much. My name is Daniel Shan. I come from all the way from China, and our company located in Tianjin. And I feel lucky so much today, and we can join your speech and encourage us to have some question for you. Because our company, he's our founder, Mr. Ren. He founded as a new energy company, which is doing the helping the wind power and new generation transport and new instruction things, helping them to do new solution for help them more safety and more efficient way to do their job. Actually, we doing the robot, and we are thinking, concerning in Indonesia will be a new market and very, very important for us. The question is very simple: is how can we maybe open a new branch in Indonesia, and the government or the other partner, how do they feel? Do we feel like a really warm welcome? And who we should talk with if we really want to do that? Because this is a very big avoidance for us. We will thinking maybe another 5 years or 10 years in Indonesia. It's a very huge market. So we decided to do that, but we don't know how actually.
I think that question would be best answered by Pak Nurul here.
Yeah, thank you. So
Thank you.
my direct answer to you, you have to talk with me. Yeah. So we are going to exchange our business card. And
Yes,
I
I will
guess
do that,
we are willing to discuss with you. And also another information that I need to deliver to you is about the potentials of a project that we would like to develop, because we are moving forward of providing more energy efficiency and also more green energy to be provided for the industries in Indonesia.
Yes,
and I do
the
believe that
professionals-
you could provide this kind of technology for us. And besides, we have also many investment coming from China, and they need also to be supplied with this kind of energy. As the market for your industry is not only in Indonesia, but it is also included the area or the countries in European countries and United States that they require that your energy should be and only be supplied by green energy. Right.
Thank you. That's great.
So I think you can have a private consultation
Yeah, we will
with
do
Pak
that.
Nurul after this.
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am,
you.
you had a question?
Yes, my name is Marianne. I'm from environmental organization, and maybe my question is more not on investing, but on, you talked about decarbonization and about water power plants. Can you tell me more about waste rocks and water pollution? How do you handle that?
So the question is for...
Yeah, for
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll try on the water side, yeah? Okay, so Indonesia has very rich laterite ore. I think I'll be really honest and telling you here, the biggest challenge with mining laterite ore is the chrome 6. It's related to the water coming out of the effluent mine. So what we do is, before we do the mining activities, first, of course, this is a step that we're doing. So when we get the license, first what we do is we mapping and inventorize the biodiversity. Before you cut any tree, you better have that data first, because we know by the time we reclaim it and close the mine, it has to go back to as much as possible that original form. And the second is, when we do the mine, we do by compartment. So we're not opening all the mine that we need at once. Only open what you need at that particular time. And then when you finish with that compartment, you immediately rehabilitate that. That way you reduce the open area, and therefore less exposure and therefore less complex to manage. And the third one is, before you actually open the mine, you also need to map the water, the topography and all the potential water and effluents where it goes. And then we create what we call mining infrastructures, particularly parameter ditch. So basically we have to map where the water goes, and all of this water need to go to what we call sediment pond. And then inside the sediment pond, there is a process, continuous process of neutralizing, a chemical process to neutralizing the impact. And only before it reaches the level that we can tolerate, then it's discharged to the lake. There is a photo that I presented before. That lake basically is the last discharge point from the water from the mine. And we drink the water, and I drink the water as well. That is to show that it requires a lot of efforts, time and effort and resources, but it is necessary. So that's one example, but I'm not an expert in environment. That's what I know. That's what we are doing in Seraco. But I welcome any input or feedback you may have for us.
Any other, I hope that answers your question. Okay. Any other questions from the audience? Right. I think I've been told that we've been really tight on time. I would really like to thank you and hope that the experience that you've shared together with us, and also answering the questions from the audience and from the delegation, is sufficient to furnish any of doubt from potential investors looking to operate, to manufacture in Indonesia. Again, Ms. Edi, Pak Rosi, Pak Iskandar, Pak Nurul, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And please, a big applause for our panelists today.
Thank
Please
you.
stay on stage. We have a little bit of souvenir.
Yeah. So I just want to add, you will address the government, but you can count on us if you have doubts. Because sometimes European companies reach the government, but you may have the same doubt that we know you have. Then I put myself available, my CFO, my HR director. If you want to contact us for further question, etc., we can help you to coach you to be more engaged with the government.
Indonesia's ambassador, Pak Rosi. Thank you very much and have a pleasant day.